All right, next is Mitchell has been corresponding with me. Well, not corresponding, he sent me some emails. And I'm not at the point yet where I feel like I'm being drawn into behind the scenes things. Lots of stuff was thrown my way. And so people can just talk to me or understand that right now, if you want to say anything to me, I'm either not going to respond to you, or if I do, I'll be responding in this way. I don't think Mitchell minds, but I'm just throwing it out there, and if Mitchell does mind, he can let me know. We can stop communicating for a while or whatever. But that's just how it works for me, because I don't trust modern humans in general, including these ex-Pod Lair. I don't know who's still Pod Lair or not. I think Glenn says he still is, but I don't know. For example, Mitchell, I'll just jump off the cuff here. Mitchell is disagreeing with some things I say, for example, about how well he can read. And Mitchell, I do think that you have the power to read better than Gabe, and you have more training, more interest, and so forth. However, there was somewhere in the Facebook where you were basically wondering if you were even a single degree of Pod Lair. In fact, I think I did something in one of the filmings where I talked about being like a half of a degree of practice, a quarter of degree, and that was actually for you in large part. So your words actually said you were wondering if you're even a full degree. Gabe is actually giving under the hood. So you've stepped away from under the hood. You've not stepped away from you can see it and that it's very important, but you've stepped away from I believe it's under the hood. You correct me if I'm wrong, please do. But that's my understanding. So in that case, that is a farther acceptance, in my opinion. This is my opinion, but it's a very educated opinion. I believe that is a greater acceptance of the situation we find ourselves in than what you're giving. Next, I believe you stepped away from it is a mathematical finite structure of some kind. I believe you've written things, again, maybe I'm misinterpreting, please correct me if I've interpreted you incorrectly, but it sounds like you have less confidence that these categories, visual, that I'm seeing, actually have the mathematical rigidity. When Gabe said the four humors, he said four, he did not equivocate on that. So that is giving a stronger sense of a mathematical finite structure with firmer math balanced edges to it. And again, that's even first degree. That's actually, it's both, but the part where he actually talks about the pilot build versus, the other three builds and so on, that's actually saying four. So he's actually conceding, the finite structure of it. You sound to me like you've been going more like it's a tree that has certain major branches, and those major branches are maybe what I'm saying, but then these other sub branches and their twigs and their leaves and their pollen, it could be anything. That's kind of what it sounded like, a bit what you're saying. Again, update me if that's not what you're saying. But in that case, Gabe's understanding of just the four body types and that it's four, and that probably all things are variations of them. They may be on more unusual riffs of a pilot build, but still there's four major builds. So that's further. Giving under the hood with the four humors, and the four builds, again saying that it's four he's seeing. And did not feel the need to tease that out more than you are. Teasing it out to me in order to make what, if you can look at it, you say you can look at it better than Gabe, it's very math, like square, everything like balances on each other in this way, and that's what you can see if you see it enough. It keeps repeating like that. And if you can see enough of it, even what you can't see, Occam's razor, you would err on the side. If you can see enough that I'm probably just not seeing a riff of one of these categories, rather than maybe the categories are more mutable than that. I don't believe so. I did 1024 infinity lens and beyond, so I'm open to all the wondrous variation. So wondrous, it would be hard, very hard, to know what the base similar instruments were, but I believe that's what I've done. So in general, I concede your point, Mitchell, about overall your ability, but you've walked back some of your ability to see that it's mathematically balanced. It just screams at all the cues that you can see, they just scream this. And then the fact that there is under the hood. significant under the hood that must match up in some way with what's going on with the cues, because what's going on with the cues has such a strong, repeating, predictable quality as far as trends and careers, relationships, families. So that's my take on what you said. You feel free to say whatever you like. So I'll say a few more things Mitchell said. Going along with that, I agree with you that words aren't going to be the deciding factor of any of this. No, they will not. They're such fragile tools. Indeed, they're the tool, they're not the purpose. They're not the purpose, and they're not the first tool. The first tool is a tool that you come built with. You don't have to go get. Words are nice, but you have to go get them, just like a hammer. You do not have to go get your vision or your ability to recognize what your vision is showing you. Your pride does not bother me. It feels to me authentic and brave. I believe it to be, and I'm glad that you're okay with this, because this brings up a subject I want to talk about. And relates, because you also said that you don't believe that you are Marxist, and that label did not sit on you easily. I agree it sits less easily on you than other people, but it does, at minimum, you'd have to watch out for it. And I'll tell you why. Short version is, I know you didn't take those subjects or ascribe to those things in any kind of conscious or purposeful way. However, those institutions where you got your learning are inundated with that. You have to know this. Marxist thinking has pushed on all the subjects heavily and is attempting even now to get into STEM. So you're aware of that. So I get what you're saying, but I think you can also get what I'm saying. Okay, so we can both give some ground on that, but whilst recognizing the legitimacy of what you said and the legitimacy of what I'm saying as far as a concern of anyone coming from that background. Anyone who's actually spent a lot of time with people in that age, in college for any kind of years, that would be pervasive. And you would need to be more than just decidedly neutral. You'd have to purposely shrug on a regular basis, otherwise it'd get you. In fact, it's one of the reasons why I never went. I went to college a little bit, and I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like this. For a lot of reasons, but that was one of them. I've mentioned other ones, the virginity and so forth, but that was a big one where there's just an acceptance of making things that are not lab more important than lab. I don't like it. And you know me, I'm a very philosophical person. I can wax philosophical and spiritual till the cows come home and enjoy myself in the process and feel very rewarding. However, I don't like it when we leave lab. I like to be able to make what we're saying real to what's going on, and that's an issue in colleges, and it's gotten worse from everything I've seen. And so anyone coming from that, they're going to fight that more. But getting back to the pride, when people try to assess what I'm doing, now I'm going to try and minimize my contact with the world so that the way I flex my wings doesn't bother them so much, but I have to flex how to flex. And a way that may help you understand is when you look at mode reading and where it goes so philosophical. And those philosophical things combined with the visual observation puts it heavily over in science and other things as well. However, as far as seeing it in the world, you have to think of it as like a tracker. Another one I would say is an athlete. And those are two things. Trackers go on an apprentice, journey person, master, grandmaster scale. And the same thing with athletics. You basically are JV, varsity, you know what I mean? All college pro. It's mainly what team you go to, how good they are with the competition levels. It doesn't really matter the way the rest of college is taught. And I bring this up because if you look at the way those people get themselves pumped up, for example, I like watching MMA. In fact, I have to do a lot with correcting it now, and I'm enjoying being free of the rattlings of anyone else while I go and pursue this, because it's going to be gnarly for me. But point is, I've learned a lot from that. Even though I'm now realizing I have to make some corrections, but I'm seeing why next you want me to watch it so much, because that's a very technical thing they're doing, but it's also incredibly psychological, like an athlete. You have to meld your mind and your body's performance. And there's a kind of confidence you need in order to do it. And when people talk about mojo reading in general, I never get the vibe off of them that they're talking about tennis, that they're talking about mountain climbing. There's a whole animation when you talk about surfing, because it's alive. It makes your whole body come to attention in whatever way that thing requires you to have attention, or you get wiped out. So mojo reading is the same way, and you have to be geared up and dialed in, and your whole being must be present. You got to be in it. There's no other way. And so there's a faux calm that is associated with academics and it's prized in a lot of ways. You're very familiar with this. That's because you don't have to do peak performances. Large part, academia, you get to avoid that. The most charged up I think you'll actually see is the people who actually will go on camera and do debates or lectures, and they're very few. There are not a lot of people who can actually handle that. It's very taxing. So if you take what Hitchens does, it's intellectual, but I would actually call that like a metaphysical athlete. It's an athletic metaphysical because he's mastering intangibles, right? Memory and principles and the right way to say it and the right charisma to give and the tones and the pauses and all those kinds of things, the bearing. But it all comes across through the instrument. So you have to have a certain way about you. So that's one I would just throw out there, that the kind of confidence athletes demonstrate, fighter pilots demonstrate, surgeons demonstrate, generally rankles most people, including other people in medicine, in the Air Force, in whatever. That's because you have to put yourself into a heightened state to do it at all, to compete at that level, to Mojo read and the implications of it. It's basically a very high stakes event. Your psyche, what it means to the whole world, it just is. And so you have to be, that's a concern every time you Mojo read, more than anything else, is being able to note that that is happening, don't flinch from that, and then don't get rocked by that. So you have to not flinch both ways. Don't flinch by not seeing it, and then don't flinch once you see it. I'm not just throwing everything out there about people saying like, is it the greatest discovery of all time? Am I a mega genius? And you've conceded, Mitchell, that you consider my pride not to be a problem in general, sounds like, and that I have discovered something very significant. Although I'm not sure if you're willing to give me under the hood or to any significant degree, or if you're willing to give me finite mathematical categories. But anyway, if you take, for example, mixed martial arts, you're going to be one of the best in the world, and you have to compete with other people in order to do it. And I am competing with other minds. I'm competing with their limitations that they were not able to do this. I have to compete with all these great thinkers that came before me, great spirits that came before me not being able to do it, and therefore there are doubt demons that say, if they couldn't do it, you couldn't do it, and I have to wrestle those. Now you may disagree with this way of thinking, yet I am very, very strong. By your own admission, I am demonstrably stronger at doing this than anyone else. And I'm getting stronger, I think you'll agree as well. If you can see the sample's getting cleaner, I'm getting stronger. So I'm the best, I've been the best, and while teaching others how to be as good as I can, and I'm getting closer and closer to my goals. This is how I think. I am wrestling with history. I'm wrestling with all the legacies of history. I'm wrestling with all of you modern humans' legacies going forward. And we'll either bond or we won't. And if we don't bond, then we will contest on different things. Some things one of us will win, some things another person wins, some things may never get decided. So be it, but that's what's going on. And I'm okay with this. And I need to defeat, in my opinion, more doubt demons than other people do. I think if other people were defeating their doubt demons better, they'd be further along. So I think you need to treat this as like demon slaying and athletics of metaphysics and tracking. So in mixed martial arts, if you ask anyone who's in the top 20, where do you think you are? They're going to say that they're the best. They just haven't been given an opportunity to actually face off versus other people in the top 10 to 20 that people think might be the best. And they want that opportunity, and it gives them an incredible rush to make that statement and then to go and prove that point. I need that as well. Nexi, Zibai, she's been showing me a lot of Zibai kinds of things, like Naked and Afraid and mixed martial arts have more Zibai in them than I thought. And I was like, oh, bummer, we watched those things, I thought I was seeing some other things. And she's like, no, I know that, but you needed that because you needed to get a more understanding of the kind of work you're doing and the kind of way you need to come at it. So that was very Fumasta because we're going all the way to her modulation powers. for those who do under the hood. But anyway, the further powers of my goddess. I was keeping my personal process arena, so don't bother anybody with higher theory. So I believe this discovery, if you can see it as much as you were stating you can see it, Mitchell, I'm curious because you haven't stated this. You said significant. Is there something more significant in knowing why humans as a species are doing what they're doing? Like the story of it. The story of why they're doing it. I don't know what other metrics has ever been measured, being measured now that gives the predictive power. In fact, I'm making predictions that people didn't even know could be done. But they're relevant to relationships, careers, and family. Kind of core pillars of being a human. So, to me, if you can see as much as you're saying you see, Mitchell, then I believe what goes with it. If you don't make this jump, then I don't think you're seeing as much as you think you're seeing. That's without a doubt within one of the great discoveries of all time. What else? What else have been discovered about humans that gives that? To me, and I looked at these things, I think you have too, but we're coming to different conclusions. As far as like changing things, I believe you're going to compare this to something. Personally, I think you have to talk fire. Language, not written language, language just starting, how it changed our brains. That's the kind of stuff, this is going to change everything. So, I believe minimum one of the greatest discoveries of all time. And I believe that I'm well within my rights as a proponent of this discovery to position it, in my opinion, as the number one. Next, by what you're saying you can see, and other people who are even critical of me are saying they can see, it's weird. Even like Demas saying like it's just spaces. Do you realize what a fabulous trick that would be? If that's what even what it was? If I was a charlatan, the level of genius to do the charlatanry I'm being accused of would still make me a very, very unusual human. So unusual, I believe, that it's difficult to calculate exactly how you rank a person like that. So, I believe that what you say you see puts me, if I'm seeing what so few people over history, right? The Greeks, they saw that long ago, and now I've seen this much when other people can't eat, people I've trained and so forth. Okay, so I'm very, very, very gifted and very, very, very driven. I'm very, very genius. So, I believe I am minimum more genius than anyone who's been speaking to me throughout my life on this subject actually can really comprehend how I'm working. It seems to fry the brains. Okay, so I believe, I understand that some people may disagree with that, but I don't understand anyone who can read Mojo decently can disagree with it's one of, for sure, the great discoveries in the history of humans, and I am one of the world's most powerful and important geniuses to have ever lived. The amount of things that can be worked off of this observational discovery, it's definitely Newtonian minimum. This is wow. All right, so again, I think the argument can be made. So I understand if people go, I don't see it myself. Okay, I can work with people who don't say you're a mega genius, who don't say it's the greatest discovery ever. I won't be insulted. But two things. One, I feel that. And that is a legitimate opinion to have. And if a person can't see enough to know that's a legitimate opinion to have, yeah, when you're at that level and who can even say, well, I'm going to take a stab at it. I think I'm number one. My spirit says help with me to think like this. Because otherwise, the amount of world record breaking feats I do every day, I just did a bunch before this filming today. I need to tell myself something why that's possible. It freaks me out that I need something to go with, and my spirit say, and that's the case, and they give me evidence that shows me, yep, that's a freaky thing to be able to do. So, on that. So, does that make sense? I hope so. You can let me know if it didn't. But I'm okay with a person for some reason that's too overwhelming for them, okay, but I need to be able to roll the way I roll based on, this is the key, a minimum. If a person actually is unwilling to look at the phenomenon enough to, to train, who cares, they think. But if they do train enough to where they can see what I believe to be a sufficient amount of like a minimum level sufficiency for me to even like work with, they would have to start conceptualizing this as groundbreaking game changer. That's the beginning. If that's all a person wants to give me for their whole life, fine, I can work with that and not be insulted. But to me, that's the minimum, and we only go up from there. I don't know how you go in any other direction. And I'm going to conduct myself, since this is staggeringly fabulous discovery, and I did it, I'm going to keep rolling the way I need to roll to keep doing it. But I've learned from masters throughout the years. I love studying all the old masters in all kinds of fields and realizing how they think. If someone can correct me or help me, I like that. But there needs to be, in my opinion, a correct ranking of things. Otherwise, it will get confused out in the field. So the difference in tracking ability right now is quite large. And the conversation being had is not commensurate with the amazingness of the discovery combined with my ability to share it. And I don't want people to kiss my ass. Does Sherlock Holmes want people to kiss his ass? No, I want to solve cases, but that means being absolutely, can say, fucking efficient. Bonus stack to the gills. This is part of me being bonus stacked to do things that other people can't do. So I'm going to keep doing it. Not listening to people if they can't do certain things is something I've used to dismiss lots of people and lots of models, and I find it's been very, very efficient. I've seen no reason to stop doing that, so I'm going to keep doing that too. But I don't want people to kiss my ass. I don't want them to say they can see things they can't see, and I don't want them to say they think it's more important than they really think it is. Everyone just say what they believe. And I guess we'll take it from there. Something that may be helpful, I got a little memory drop here from my spirits, is my best friend I had from way back in the day. His dad was really into math and physics and programming, all kinds of stuff, so you probably like talking to him. He was a cool guy too, nice guy. But I asked him one time if he was a genius, and because he's really, really smart at what he does. At things people generally classically go, that's a smart person. And he said no, because there's more powerful minds that can actually do certain kinds of programs. They can open up in ways that others can't. He gave it a couple of interesting things. One, he said he thought that I may be one of those. And he didn't mind the fact that I wasn't really into doing standard education, and the fact that I had that influence on his son. He was actually okay with that. And he said, because everyone should go their own way, and you kind of remind me of some people I've met, but they were like geniuses. And he said the interesting thing about him is that I got along really well with him, is what he said. He and I got along well too. But he said, normal people you think of in terms of like what level their education is, and then what they've published and what, special training camps and different things. So you kind of see how far they stack in that and what scores they got on these things. But then there's these other people. He says, and the way to understand them is to think of them, they look like a human, but they're like an animal. And they have an animal intelligence, the way there's all kinds of ways of coming at something. They're coming at it from like a different operational life method, for lack of a better term. And often there's lots of normal stuff they can't do. Actually, I was back then like really hiding any weaknesses I had, but that was a relief to me that he said that, because I was like, oh, because I'm like that. I have issues like sensitivities that other people don't seem to have a problem with, and they're like really like just get kensei and get through it, and however I can get by, shapeshift, whatever. But then also there was other things I do. I have, and the way he said it is like an animal, a hunger. Like me reading these cases, it's not like study, it's like eating. And I have an appetite and I need to eat. I have to eat the data. I have to eat the understanding. I must devour and internalize it. It's not, it's learning, but for me, it feels like feeding. The feeding gives learning, but that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it to feed. Kind of like Sherlock Holmes. Same thing there about, he would do certain things crazy good, better than people who are experts in this field. He'd blow them out of the water, but then he wouldn't know basic stuff because that's not important to his particular kind of case solving. And so you become an animal of what you do so that you can track down quarry, capture quarry, and devour it. Anyway, interact with me going forward, it might be helpful to think in those terms. I'm an animal, an advanced human animal, and I have special abilities. But I don't interact the way a lot of the humans do. And I don't want to. I have, from decades, I've smelt what humans can do, and there are very few of them that I have any interest in being like them. I know I'm not a separate species, but I think of myself as quite different and enjoy that and have my entire life. And I've enjoyed the bonds that we've had, and I wouldn't take that back. And perhaps our bonds will grow forward. I would like that. But I enjoy being the creature that I am. I am powerful. I am valuable. Future humans will speak of me in awe. And this whole thing, this is just me. But this is the me that does what I do. This is the me that dedicates my whole life to doing this, and I'm doing it all pro bono, and I'm just giving it all away. So the ability to do it, the desire to do it, what I'm doing with it once I do it, this is the animal that I am. And now I want to take myself to the next level. And perhaps humans will still want to interact with me. I don't know. But I'm okay just looking at the humans from afar. I get the kind of animal I am. I get staggering, can't get out of bed deluges of information about humans without even speaking to one. So I've enjoyed human interaction, while at the same time, I've always been extremely wary of it. And I wonder now if perhaps it's not uncommon for people like me in history, cats like this guy here, creatures like me, just, a certain point that it's like, I think I'm gonna go hermit it and just live the rest of my life out in a hermitage. If it's a Lair Lab hermitage, that sounds fucking nice. I like the idea. I like the idea of being a monk, a kensei, and each day just doing my little thing to help, whatever little bit of enlightenment I can share with future humans, and just be happy knowing I'm doing good work, and that future humans will find this little stash of goodness, wisdom and goodness. I was trying, and I definitely have gotten ahead in certain things, and we'll see what happens. I miss this me. I miss the bonds that I had with the ex-Padre community, to what degree they were. Some of them were quite substantial, others not much, but they were there. And I miss them, but I don't miss them anything like I miss me being me. The last few days, I've been prowling around the data. Not walking around, not talking around, not preparing it, but prowling and stalking it. Feels good. So if we're going to continue bonding in the future, this might be helpful. I'm that crazy tracker dude in the woods, and I think you find the trails I'm showing very interesting and relevant to surveys you're doing. But I'm the crazy tracker man in the woods, and I like it. I like it, and I'm the only one who can do what I can do, so people would have to come to a degree. But also, I believe that a lot of things that people say I should be doing differently, I believe not only am I not going to do that because it'd be too heavy, I think it'd be preventative. It'd be preventative for actually being able to do what I do. So, yeah, I don't know, Mitchell. We'll see what goes forward. But I appreciate you writing what you did. It was thoughtful. And like always, it showed openness and a measured reaction to something that I clearly probably, had some import to you. But yeah, I guess basically all I have right now, but it felt good talking, and hope you don't mind. I'll be doing this more in the future. I just also kind of talked things that my spirits want, because that made it feel more like I want to be present. And so that's something that I've been fighting for the last few years, is like making myself be present in certain ways where like I can't be present like that much. And going forward, I want to be more present, but I want to be present in the way my spirits want me to be present. And I'm going to present myself in that way of being present. It feels right. It feels better. It feels like I'm going to have to carry more weight, but actually I was always going to have to carry this weight, and now I can carry this extra weight that was always really there with my more natural wing span, my natural wing stroke, my natural flight patterns, my natural yes, well maybe, oh yeah, yes, this jars people. It's my favorite part of life. Yeah, people consistently complain about what I do and how I do it, when it's the most powerful. You're admitting that this is very important about the human condition and that I'm clearly the most powerful. It's also feels the best, feels most natural to me. So yeah, for effectiveness and sense of being the me that I was meant to be, I'm going to keep exploring this space. So if you can be respectful of that, I'll be respectful of your space. I look forward to what you may want to share with me in the future as far as your thoughts. And if you specify that you don't want me to discuss it publicly, I will honor that. But I may be disinclined in how much I respond back, because this may seem like a Devo kind of thing, but I believe that my thoughts on matters are very, very important. My time here on Earth, it's not infinite. I need to make everything worth my time, my spirit state, actually recording as much as I can. Obviously, it's good to have some, behind the scenes correspondence to some degree. Well, even that, see, by the way, I'm in no way saying that you're doing this, Mitchell, because I like what you did. But in fact, since you did such a good example, that's why it kind of makes the rule for me. Even still, I just feel there's too much. The animal I am, I feel humans keep forgetting. They keep forgetting, or keep allowing their want to forget, their want for me to be. Oh, it's like I'm not a human. I'm not like you other humans. I'm not a modern human. I'm a future human, and that makes me more like an animal in this day and age. And so. There's certain kinds of interactions. I don't know what they are right now exactly, but I think a lot of behind the scenes emailing might be definitely part of this. Is it breeds too much familiarity, and familiarity breeds contempt, and I'm not deserving of contempt. I'm deserving, and this may seem egotistical to people, but I believe it's the case. I am deserving of amazement and gratitude. It's amazing what I've seen, and the fact that I've been so giving in it, even when I knew I was going to have to go through years of mass reading in public where I was going to be making mistakes, and I said so. I didn't have to do that. But I knew that all the mistakes I learned from, people could really use those lessons going forward. So, I'm just kind of finding my space. I'm finding my space and how I like to fly, and I feel it out from there. But I put the Podler Experiment #1 out, so people can start with that. That's going to be wonderful. That's where everyone's going to go from. So people who have experience, it'd be great if you would test drive it out, because you could get your thoughts on it. But when you do it, try to visualize if you can. Use your abilities to read the cues, but try to not imagine you know more than you do. Try to focus on just what you do know. Put yourself in the mind of a person who's learning this for the first time. But, use your lens's power to pull. See what you see. But, yeah. Yeah, I realized it's so tense. It's so tense. But this is good. Did that playlist, and then I proved to myself, again, and this is key, I don't need to prove to you or anyone else. I went in, saw the data, it's there. Because through all this, through the trip traveling up to Portland, and all during the making the Pod There playlist and listening to all the goofiness on Facebook and whatnot, I was not swimming the data much because I had other things to do. But still, I saw enough to realize this is all foolishness. But then the last few days, I just been swimming in it and stronger than ever. And I'm not going to do anything to lose this feeling, to lose this, not feelings, no, like this flow. I'm in a powerful flow, and I'm staying in the flow. But doesn't mean I can't have friends. But I'll need to stay in the flow as the truth fire dragon, animal, creature, boss hero that I am. And it was good to hear from you, Mitchell. Yeah, this dragon says, good to hear from you. Hope things are well with you. See ya.